Welcome to anyone who is listening to this conversation. I'm Peg Rowe, one of the partners with Tiara International, and I'm joined by one of my other partners, Andrea Henning. Andrea is in the Netherlands, and I'm here in the States. And today we're going to explore the topic of clarity. Clarity is the distinction that we're really talking about in Tiara this month. We isolate one distinction every month, and this month it's clarity. And we know the importance of clarity, but we really want to have a conversation about how does it show up and what sometimes prevents us from actually being as clear as we would like to be. And when we started talking about it, Andrea and I, just thinking about how did we want to have the conversation today, I was bringing up the recent Brené Brown quote that comes from her last book that I particularly like, which is, "Clear is kind, unclear is unkind." And sometimes if people haven't thought about it, that can seem like a puzzle. Like, what do you mean? How could being unclear be unkind? And as I've pondered that comment or that quote and tried to make meaning for myself, what I've come to realize is that there are situations where clarity is really called for, but I may personally hold back because I'm afraid that if I'm really clear and direct, that I might hurt the other person's feelings, I might do something to damage the relationship. And so past patterns would have had me sort of, if you will, soften or dance around the issue or dance around the clarity. And what occurs is nothing changes. It is left unclear. And when it's left unclear, then whatever that issue is still there, and it's not actually resolved itself. And I think for a lot of us, we can see that we need to be clear about something, but we're not always certain how to have the courage to be clear in a way that restores and keeps the relationship whole, and yet puts what needs to be said on the table.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. And now you're taking also the clarity to the level of being clear between people. There's also the other kind of being clear
Yeah.
to yourself, which takes the same kind of courage
Yep.
and deep honesty and contemplation.
Mhm.
And that's in my view often a reason why we don't go there, because with clarity comes personal responsibility, and with
Yes.
personal responsibility comes courage. There we need to take some kind of action or choice or direction. And I can take a long time just dancing around myself, and
Mhm.
sometimes it really helps if there's another person, a really trustworthy person, who then mirrors something back. And a person is trustworthy for me when I can really feel that they have my best interest in mind and not
Right.
their own best interest. So that is where I take the feedback, and that helps me to
Yeah.
get to that clarity and take personal responsibility for my life. Yeah.
Well, and what I hear on what you're saying also, Andrea, is that often when we are not being entirely clear or honest with ourselves, it's not because we don't know what the truth is. It's not because we don't know what's clear. It's because in in recognizing that and acknowledging it, it will call for an action that we may not want to do. So we can end up with, kind of sparking some fear, like, okay, that's the right thing to do. I know it's what I need to be doing. And then we spark that fear and it's like, oh, but I don't want to.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
that's going to be hard. you know. And so it's interesting because we do this dance with ourselves just as much as we do it with other people and other circumstances.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then we talk even when we have the clarity and it's crystal clear, we have a way to talk ourselves out of it
Yeah.
with stories. Huh?
Yeah.
So a good practice is when you have the clarity, like acknowledge it. That's the
Yeah.
clarity. Every other story then cannot take you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it takes also practice. Huh? So
It
yeah.
does take practice. Yeah, it does take practice. It helps sometimes to tackle the simpler things first,
Exactly.
to use that muscle and have it feel like, okay, the world didn't fall apart when I did that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Peg, we also talked just before this meeting about the urgency. Sometimes there comes really an urgency from a deep knowing. I do not want this anymore. Huh? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think also it goes the same thing that there are lots of things that at a deep level we know, but it feels like we have the luxury of a lot of time before we have to confront it or make that decision or put a stake in the ground, whatever that looks like. And then something will happen or occur. It may be external, it may be internal, that really has us stop and say, no, I actually can no longer wait. I really have the urgency to get this done, to get this resolved, to face this situation, whatever it might be. And that urgency kind of fuels our need then to get clear.
Mhm.
It fuels us and creates some momentum to move forward and do the thing that we, in our deepest level, know to do. And we may have known to do it for a long time, but now this urgency provides the momentum for actually taking action.
Exactly. So also the deep honesty of something that you really don't want anymore,
Yeah.
and you feel real, you have strong emotions around that. That can be a really really good sign. So instead of shying away or making us feel
Yeah.
better or trying to endure or trying to distract, go right into it and take it seriously. It's
Yeah.
golden. It's golden.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are always consequences when we make these tough choices, you know. But what I know from my own history is that these are the tough choices that often become the pivot point for something better,
Exactly.
you know. And if I've prolonged it for a long period of time, knowing this is the moment I need to actually move forward, it actually frees me up to do that.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think that would be a great moment to pause
Good boss, yes, right. So we
and
would encourage you this month, like if you are considering, oh, where else can I be clear in my life? What other relationships do I need to be clear about? What circumstances do I need to be clear about? How do I need to be deeply honest and courageous with myself? All of those are valuable inquiries as we're contemplating clarity and how clarity can play this, you know, rather significant role in giving us momentum and allowing us to move forward in a really positive way.
exactly. And so clear is kind and unclear is unkind.
Unkind, right? Thank you, Brene Brown. Yes.
Bye.
Bye bye, everyone.